Phoenix. Even the name evokes warmth, a gentle rise of heat in the imagination, soft vowels that roll across the tongue like a breath of desert air. Travelers call it the Valley of the Sun, a label that promises brilliance and opportunity, a place where the skies are nearly always blue and the sun bathes the landscape in gold. Step off a plane in January and feel the mild warmth press against your skin, a welcome reprieve from the freezing temperatures left behind. The city radiates an almost cinematic allure. Mountains ring the horizon like sleeping giants, and their craggy silhouettes glow pink and purple at dawn and dusk. Palm trees sway lazily against glass towers, their shadows cutting intricate patterns on the sidewalks below. The streets hum with motion, a blend of the old and the new. Traffic weaving between modern condos, food trucks stationed near century-old adobe facades, electric scooters zipping past boutique cafes, the scent of roasted coffee mingling with the dry desert air. By day, Phoenix seems limitless, a canvas stretched wide with the promise of growth. Startups and sprawling corporate campuses have turned the city into a hub for young tech workers seeking their fortune in the Southwest Sunday. Families arrive from across the country, lured by the myth of affordable homes, the idea that prosperity is just a few blocks of concrete away. Retirees, tired of icy winters, migrate south in droves, drawn to the warmth, to the calm certainty of sunlight in every season. Downtown is the epitome of this promise. Glass towers rise in reflective clusters, rooftop bars glitter with evening lights, and restaurants hum with conversation. Every new building, every street mural seems to whisper the same message. Phoenix is a city of possibility, a testament to modern growth and American ambition. Yet, even the brightest desert day casts a shadow, and in Phoenix, the shadows are long. Venture a few blocks past the brunch spots and boutique hotels, and the city begins to change. The transformation is subtle at first. The sidewalk widens, emptying of chatter, as if the air itself is heavier here. Storefronts give way to empty lots, the buzz of cafe patios fading into the distant hiss of traffic on I-10. And then, you notice them. Tents pitched close to curbs, patched together with mismatched tarps and scraps of cardboard, a shopping cart stacked with blankets, a figure curled in a sliver of shade, clutching a bottle of water like a lifeline. It is a scene starkly at odds with the shimmering metropolis just blocks away. This is the hidden Phoenix, the part of the city that thrives in silence, where survival replaces ambition, and the simplest comforts, a cool drink, a patch of shade, become precious commodities. Raymond is one of the thousands who inhabit this shadowed world. I meet him near the corner of 12th Avenue and Madison Street, where the asphalt shimmers under the relentless Sunday. He is 52, rail thin, his skin darkened and cracked by years of unrelenting heat. He gestures toward a row of tents, his voice hoarse from dehydration. "People think we choose this," he says quietly, almost apologetically. "But rent went up, job went away, then my car broke down. That was it. One bad month, and you're out here." His words hang in the air like smoke, heavy with truth. This is not an isolated story. It is a pattern repeated endlessly across the city, a cautionary tale about how quickly stability can unravel. The causes are many and intertwined. Housing costs have exploded over the last decade. New residents flock to Phoenix, investors buy properties in bulk, and the one-bedroom apartment that once rented for $810 now commands $600 or more. Wages have crawled upward at a fraction of that rate, leaving working families priced out of homes they once called their own. Emergency shelters exist, but beds fill within hours. Many people avoid them, wary of theft, strict curfews, or rules that feel more punitive than protective. For those forced to sleep outside, the desert itself is an unforgiving enemy. Summer temperatures routinely surpass 110°-43°C. Asphalt softens like molten metal. Sidewalks can blister skin in seconds. Heatstroke is not a distant possibility, it is a daily threat, a silent predator that claims dozens of lives every year. But homelessness is not only a matter of economics and climate, it carries hidden burdens of trauma, illness, and addiction. Veterans wrestle with post-traumatic stress. Mothers struggle with the loss of jobs and homes. Individuals face chronic health conditions left untreated. Fentanyl and methamphetamine offer fleeting escape, yet deepen the cycle of despair. Policy solutions, meanwhile, struggle to keep pace. Sweeps clear tents, courts issue orders, and city leaders try to balance sanitation with safety, yet the fundamental issue persists. there are simply not enough affordable homes, not enough shelter beds, not enough resources to meet the scale of human need. The result is a city of contrasts, of extremes. One glance at the skyline tells one story, a walk through the zone, another entirely. The duality of Phoenix is striking. By day, the city sparkles with opportunity, its lights reflecting the promise of progress. By night, the zone whispers stories of survival, of endurance, of humanity tested by relentless heat and scarcity. Yet within this struggle, there is resilience. Communities form even in the harshest conditions. People share food, look out for one another, and create fragile networks of support. Volunteers move through the zone, offering bottles of water, clean socks, and small comforts that carry enormous weight. The shadowed streets of Phoenix are not devoid of light. They harbor a different kind of brilliance, one that glows in acts of care, in moments of empathy, in the stubborn persistence of those refusing to be erased by circumstance. Phoenix is a city of extremes, a place where wealth and hardship coexist, separated by a few blocks and a vast social divide. Its allure is undeniable, yet beneath the sun-soaked streets lies a story of fragility and endurance. The shimmering mirage of opportunity is real, but so is the heat that threatens life itself. And for those willing to look beyond the towers and boulevards, beyond the glossy brochures and postcards, the hidden Phoenix emerges a city both breathtaking and heartbreaking, radiant yet scarred, waiting for solutions as complex and layered as the lives of the people who inhabit it. Beneath the glimmering skyline of Phoenix lies another city, one that is less advertised, less photographed, and often deliberately ignored. Here, streets are not paved with the promise of prosperity, but lined with tents, tarps, and makeshift shelters. This is the hidden Phoenix, a world stitched together from scraps of cardboard and salvaged wood, a shadow city within the shadows of the metropolis. One can walk past downtown cafes, skyscrapers, and art murals, and, in a matter of blocks, enter a landscape that feels suspended in time, where the rhythms of survival replace the rhythms of commerce and leisure. The zone, as it is quietly called, stretches across several city blocks. From above, it resembles a patchwork quilt, colors mismatched, textures uneven, yet intricately arranged by the hands of those who live there. Up close, it is raw, intimate, and unflinchingly human. Every tent tells a story. Every tarp shields a history interrupted. Grandmothers who were priced out when landlords sold buildings. Veterans wrestling with the invisible scars of war. Trauma that continues long after the battlefield. Single mothers whose jobs vanished, who lost their cars, who now navigate life under a relentless Sunday. Among them is Maria, once a home health aide, now a resident of the zone. She recalls renting a modest one-bedroom apartment for $750 a month, a number that now seems almost mythical. Today, that same space rents for $1,500, a barrier that pushed her from stability into a life of uncertainty. "I kept thinking I'd catch up," she says softly. But the prices just kept climbing. One day I was in my apartment, the next I was in my car, and when the car broke down, I came here. Her story is not an anomaly. It is a narrative repeated over and over across Phoenix, a testament to how quickly stability can vanish. The causes of this crisis are layered, cumulative, and stubbornly resistant to quick fixes. Housing costs have escalated at a pace that far outstrips wages. Investors and new residents, many fleeing pricier cities, have driven property values skyward. Emergency shelters exist but are limited, filling their beds within hours each night. Rules that protect safety often deter residents. Curfews, theft, mandatory check-ins, and many prefer the relative autonomy of the sidewalk, the chance to control the smallest pieces of their lives, even if that means exposure to danger. Then there is the desert itself. Summers in Phoenix are brutally hot. The thermometer routinely climbs past 110 degrees, 43 degrees, softening asphalt and metal underfoot, baking skin, sapping energy, and threatening lives. Nights offer little relief, often staying above 90 F, leaving the city's most vulnerable with no reprieve from the heat. Yet the crisis is more than heat and housing. It is also a story of human vulnerability, hidden illness, and social abandonment. Many residents carry chronic health issues left untreated for years. Trauma and depression, often invisible to the casual observer, compound the challenges of daily life. Addiction looms as a coping mechanism, offering brief relief but entangling individuals in cycles that make employment and housing even harder to maintain. The interplay of economic hardship, mental and physical health, and environmental extremes has created what outreach workers term the perfect storm. It is a storm that does not always rage with dramatic headlines, but seeps into every corner of life in the zone, relentless and unyielding. Walking through the zone, the details of survival become apparent. Early in the morning, outreach vans navigate the narrow streets, distributing bottled water, a commodity more precious than most can imagine. By noon, the smell of scorching asphalt mingles with the smoke from small fires used for cooking. Some tents are neat and organized, with folding chairs and potted plants small attempts at creating home. Others are chaotic, heaps of tarps and cardboard offering barely enough protection from the Sunday children live here too, though they are rarely visible. Families move quietly, fearful of authorities, attempting to remain unseen while navigating a city that can be indifferent or hostile. Teenagers attend school during the day, only to return to vehicles or shelters at night, balancing education with the daily struggle for survival. Despite the adversity, the zone is not devoid of humanity or hope. A sense of community thrives amidst hardship. People share food, look after one another's belongings, and offer quiet counsel. Maria introduces her neighbor, Eli, a soft-spoken man who fixes bicycles in exchange for bottled water or small meals. "We take care of each other," he says simply. "No one else will." These bonds, fragile yet steadfast, form the social fabric of a world often overlooked by those beyond the zone's borders. It is a microcosm of resilience, a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, human connection persists. The Hidden Phoenix is a city of contrasts. Skyscrapers and luxury condos may rise nearby, glittering under the desert sun, but the zone pulses with a different rhythm. Here, life is measured in hours of shade, in the careful rationing of water, in the small victories of securing a safe place to sleep for the night. It is a reality both stark and intimate, a world that exists in parallel with the city's celebrated image of growth and prosperity. Understanding it requires more than observation. It requires empathy, recognition, and the willingness to see the humanity in those whom society has often chosen to ignore. In the Hidden Phoenix, the stakes are immediate, the lessons profound, and the stories human in the most elemental sense. It is a place where survival is not abstract, but a daily negotiation with climate, scarcity, and social indifference. It is a city that exposes the fragility of stability, the precarity of housing, and the resilience required to endure in extreme circumstances. And yet, within this hardship, moments of care and dignity emerge, like water on a scorching day, illuminating the possibility of life beyond the shadowed streets. Life in the zone is a study in contrasts, a world where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist in every heartbeat. Dawn arrives slowly, stretching across the concrete in a soft haze that barely relieves the night's lingering heat. The streets are quiet at first, but the zone soon comes alive, not with the clatter of commerce, but with the rhythms of survival. Each morning is a negotiation with the sun, the pavement, and the sparse resources available. Bottled water is treasured, rationed carefully, and often contested. A young mother carries 2 jugs across a cracked sidewalk, her toddler trailing behind, eyes wide and alert. A retired man, weathered and sun-darkened, checks on neighbors, ensuring the small fires used for breakfast do not ignite tents or possessions. Survival is not solitary here, it is communal, a delicate choreography of shared vigilance. Children in the zone navigate this reality with a resilience that belies their age. Some attend school, balancing education with the invisible labor of daily survival. They carry backpacks heavier than their shoulders can bear, filled not only with books, but with the tools and possessions of a transient life. Teenagers, often tasked with protecting younger siblings or assisting parents, have grown adept at reading the rhythms of the city, the routes of police patrols, the locations of public water sources, the hours when outreach workers distribute food and medical care. Their innocence is tempered by necessity, yet within it, flashes of hope persist. A whispered joke shared behind a tent flap, a carefully drawn picture taped to a wall, a small act of defiance against the erasure imposed by society. For adults, each day is measured by the calculus of heat, hunger, and opportunity. Tents are arranged with care, balancing shade against wind, proximity to neighbors against the risk of theft. Personal belongings are curated with meticulous attention. Blankets folded, plastic crates stacked, bicycles repaired for commuting or scavenging. Many residents, like Eli who fixes bicycles in exchange for small meals, find ways to contribute to the fragile economy of the zone. Others barter for water, firewood, or clothing. Even the most mundane items, a folded chair, a clean sock, a reusable cup, carry the weight of dignity, small shields against a world that often refuses to recognize them as fully human. The rhythm of the day is punctuated by the arrival of volunteers and outreach workers who move through the streets with purposeful compassion. Early in the morning, mobile medical teams park near the zone, offering first aid, wound care, and basic checkups. Bottled water and clean socks are handed out like lifelines. Volunteers distribute sandwiches, fruits, and electrolyte packets, their presence both practical and symbolic, a reminder that even in extreme hardship, someone sees you. Many residents memorize the faces of these helpers, names exchanged like talismans, a form of validation that counters the constant erasure of life on the streets. Maria, the former home health aide, keeps a small notebook with the names of every volunteer who has offered help, a quiet ritual that preserves memory and connection. As the sun climbs higher, the zone transforms. Asphalt radiates heat, softening tents and tarps, testing the endurance of those who dwell within. The smell of cooking fires mingles with the acrid tang of sun-baked pavement, and the hum of nearby traffic becomes a constant backdrop, an unyielding reminder that life continues outside the zone. Some residents retreat into shade, conserving energy and protecting themselves from dehydration. Others venture out, searching for work, collecting recyclables, or making the rounds to nearby businesses, asking for bottles of water or small donations. Each action is measured, calculated, and rooted in necessity. The heat is merciless, and yet life persists, stubborn and unrelenting. Night in the zone carries a different rhythm. Temperatures drop slightly, but the air remains thick, holding the day's heat in a lingering embrace. The streets are alive with quiet conversations, the shuffle of feet, the occasional clink of a bicycle chain being repaired. Fires flicker in the darkness, small beacons of warmth and comfort. Families huddle together, sharing stories or listening to the distant sounds of the city they inhabit yet cannot fully enter. Safety is a constant concern. Every noise, every shadow is assessed, every tent strategically positioned. And yet, even in the tension, there is community. Neighbors look out for one another, sharing food, blankets, and advice. Every small act, offering a chair, a bottle of water, a reassuring word, becomes a lifeline, a thread weaving human connection into an environment otherwise defined by scarcity and struggle. Health and survival intersect in stark ways. Outreach workers and mobile clinics provide urgent care, but the environment itself constantly tests resilience. Heat stroke, dehydration, infections, untreated chronic conditions, and the invisible wounds of trauma all converge, demanding vigilance. Many residents carry invisible burdens, mental health challenges, histories of abuse or loss, addiction, and the zone, for all its resilience, is not always forgiving. Yet for those who endure, there is a quiet dignity, a mastery of adaptation that outsiders often fail to recognize. Raymond, once adrift in the desert sun, now volunteers in the zone, offering water and advice, embodying the continuity of survival and the human capacity for empathy, even after suffering. Amid the hardship, small rituals sustain life. Tents are decorated with photographs, drawings, or potted plants salvaged from city streets. A folding chair becomes a throne for conversation, a blanket, a symbol of protection. Residents mark birthdays, celebrate small victories, and maintain routines as best they can, asserting humanity in a space designed to erode it. Even the mundane, a cup of coffee shared with a neighbor, the careful folding of laundry, the organized stacking of supplies, takes on profound significance. In these acts, life asserts itself, refusing to be fully defined by hardship. The zone is more than a crisis. It is a testament to the human capacity for endurance, creativity, and solidarity. It exposes the cracks in social systems, the failure of infrastructure, and the weight of stigma. Yet it also illuminates resilience, compassion, and adaptation. Here, survival is both a science and an art, and every resident is a practitioner, navigating the interplay of heat, scarcity, and community with skill and courage. In the hidden Phoenix, life persists in its rawest, most human form, reminding the city above that existence is more than a skyline. It is measured in sweat, effort, and quiet acts of care, in the fragile dignity of every individual who refuses to vanish into the shadows. Phoenix has not ignored the crisis. Across City Hall, non-profit offices, and faith communities, efforts are underway to respond to the growing humanitarian emergency. Yet for every measure taken, the scale of need reminds officials and volunteers alike that there is no simple solution. The city's response is multi-pronged. Emergency shelters, mobile medical clinics, housing first programs, and new policy initiatives. Each is a thread in an intricate web designed to catch those who might otherwise fall through the cracks, but the net is often too small, stretched too thin, leaving gaps that expose the city's most vulnerable to extreme heat, illness, and ongoing insecurity. Emergency shelters offer the most immediate form of relief. Facilities like Central Arizona Shelter Services provide hundreds of beds nightly, along with meals, counseling, and social services. Inside these shelters, residents gain access to more than a place to sleep. They find an infrastructure designed to stabilize lives. Social workers assist with job training, legal aid, and healthcare referrals, while medical staff address chronic and acute conditions alike. CAS and similar programs embrace the housing first philosophy, prioritizing stable housing before expecting compliance with sobriety or employment requirements. The logic is straightforward. People cannot rebuild their lives if they remain constantly in survival mode. A secure bed, a mailing address, and basic medical care can become the foundation for recovery, but even the most robust shelter system cannot accommodate the thousands living outside its walls. The city has also embraced mobile solutions. Outreach vans, staffed with medical professionals and social workers, roam the streets distributing water, first aid, and information about shelters or services. On the asphalt, where tents glimmer like a fragile city of their own, these teams are lifelines. Injuries from heatstroke, chronic illnesses exacerbated by sun exposure, and minor injuries from falls or burns are treated on the spot. Outreach workers provide counseling, connecting residents to programs that can address addiction, mental health, or employment challenges. Their efforts are tireless, yet finite, constrained by hours, vehicles, and funding. One mobile nurse recalls treating multiple cases of severe dehydration before lunch, knowing she could only do so much before moving to the next block. "We keep people alive until something more permanent is possible," she says, wiping sweat from her brow. "It's small, but it matters." Policy efforts extend beyond immediate care to structural interventions, but they face bureaucratic and logistical hurdles. Construction of affordable housing lags behind demand due to zoning restrictions, labor shortages, and rising material costs. New low-income housing complexes, when completed, are quickly filled, with waiting lists stretching months or years. Rental voucher programs help families remain housed, but funding limits the number of participants. Legal and political constraints complicate enforcement. Judges have ordered periodic clearing of encampments in the name of public health, yet residents displaced by sweeps often relocate to neighboring streets or cities, a phenomenon outreach workers describe as pushing the balloon. The cycle is persistent. Remove tents in one area and new ones sprout elsewhere, leaving underlying causes unresolved. Yet in the face of these obstacles, innovation is emerging. A few miles west of downtown, a development of tiny homes gleams under the desert Sunday. Rows of compact, energy-efficient houses designed for people transitioning out of homelessness offer a new model. Each unit features air conditioning, a small kitchen, and a shaded porch, providing both comfort and dignity. Residents pay sliding-scale rent, often no more than a few $100s, and receive access to employment support and job training. Early results are promising. Most participants transition into permanent housing within a year. "This isn't just shelter," says Project Director Anthony Ruiz as he unlocks a 300-square-foot unit. "It's dignity. It's a mailing address. It's a place where someone can start rebuilding a life." Private companies have joined in as well, driven by a combination of civic responsibility and self-interest. Large employers, including tech firms seeking skilled labor, have launched apprenticeship programs targeting unhoused individuals, pairing stable wages with short-term housing stipends. These programs recognize the symbiosis between workforce stability and human dignity, leveraging private resources to supplement public efforts. In the zone, residents like Raymond, who once navigated life on the streets, now volunteer in shelters, passing on hard-earned knowledge. His presence reflects another crucial element. Solutions are most effective when informed by lived experience. Faith-based initiatives further complement government and private efforts. Churches, synagogues, mosques, and community organizations mobilize volunteers to provide meals, distribute water, and offer companionship. At Street, Mary's Basilica, parishioners prepare hundreds of hot meals weekly, while a local synagogue organizes water brigades that drive through known encampments. Volunteers learn residents' names, asking questions about families, work, or dreams. These small gestures, seemingly minor to outsiders, carry enormous weight in the lives of those who are often rendered invisible by society. A name, a conversation, a shared meal, it all reaffirms humanity and worth in a world structured to erase it. Healthcare innovations are evolving as well. Integrated housing and health campuses provide residents with a single location to access medical care, counseling, and employment support. Mobile crisis teams respond to mental health emergencies without police intervention, aiming to de-escalate situations while connecting individuals to appropriate care. Early pilot programs indicate these approaches reduce repeat hospital visits, improve stability, and lower rates of chronic homelessness. While these initiatives are not yet scalable citywide, they demonstrate that holistic, integrated solutions addressing housing, health, and employment simultaneously can make a profound difference. Yet the challenges remain immense. Phoenix sprawls over 500 square miles and public transportation is limited. Shelters, clinics, and food banks are often far from the people who need them most, forcing residents to navigate extreme heat and unsafe streets just to reach essential services. Funding, political will, and community support are uneven, and societal stigma complicates every intervention. Many citizens view homelessness as a moral failing rather than a systemic failure, creating friction that policymakers must navigate carefully. Outreach workers note the constant challenge of changing public perception. Drivers pass by, rolling up windows, seeing nuisance rather than neighbor, a city blind to its own reflection. Still, progress is evident in quiet victories. Tiny homes, rental vouchers, mobile clinics, volunteer programs, and apprenticeship initiatives collectively offer pathways out of crisis. Residents like Maria and Raymond demonstrate the human potential unlocked when resources, opportunity, and compassion converge. For Maria, access to a subsidized apartment and childcare transforms her world. For Raymond, volunteering provides purpose and agency. The city's response may be imperfect, incremental, and underfunded, but it reveals a critical truth. Homelessness is not intractable. Solutions exist. They require coordination, creativity, and, above all, recognition of the humanity at the center of the crisis. Phoenix's story, in this chapter, is one of both struggle and ingenuity. The hidden Phoenix, though shadowed by extreme conditions, receives attention from policymakers, nonprofits, and citizens who refuse to turn away. Each small victory, a shelter bed, a tiny home, a volunteer's hand, represent a crack in the wall of despair, a possibility that life can be rebuilt even after devastation. These initiatives illuminate a path forward, demonstrating that while the crisis is vast and complex, it is not beyond the reach of thoughtful, coordinated, and compassionate action. Here, amidst the heat, dust, and hardship, solutions are taking shape, fragile yet promising, hinting at a phoenix that might one day lift all its residents into the light. As the sun sinks behind the jagged silhouette of the Phoenix Mountains, the city glows gold and rose, a striking contrast of brilliance and shadow. From a rooftop bar, the view is breathtaking. Glass towers reflect the fading light, palm trees stretch skyward, and streets pulse with the hum of life. But just a few blocks away, the zone persists, a fragile city within a city, alive with low conversations, footsteps shuffling over hot pavement, and small fires flickering under the darkening sky. It is here, in the intersection of prosperity and deprivation, that the human face of America comes into sharp focus. Phoenix, in its extremes, serves as a mirror, reflecting the successes and failures of a nation celebrated for opportunity, yet grappling with systemic inequality. Across the valley, signs of hope are woven into acts of care. Volunteers distribute water, wrap blistered feet, and hand out clean socks. Mobile medical teams check wounds and administer treatment, moving quickly but deliberately through the zone, each intervention a lifeline. Social workers help residents navigate rental vouchers, housing programs, and job training, while faith communities organize meals and water brigades, tirelessly bridging gaps left by stretched city resources. These small but vital acts reveal a central truth. The crisis is solvable not merely with policy, but with empathy. Each individual recognized, each person addressed by name, restores dignity and affirms the fundamental humanity that society so often overlooks. Statistics alone fail to capture the depth of this reality. Tens of thousands sleep outdoors nightly in Phoenix, yet beyond the numbers lie stories of resilience and courage. Raymond, once adrift on the city streets, now volunteers at a cooling center, advising those where he once stood. Maria, the former home health aide, has transitioned into a subsidized apartment. A small kitchen flooded with morning sunlight, a donated couch, and a bed for her daughter. Their experiences illustrate the transformative power of opportunity, combined with compassion. A housing voucher, a cooling center, a supportive neighbor, or a volunteer who asks, "What's your name?" Small interventions with profound human impact. Yet even these successes highlight the ongoing challenges. Phoenix sprawls across more than 500 square miles. Shelters, clinics, and food banks are scattered, often far from the very neighborhoods that need them. Public transportation is sparse, forcing residents to navigate dangerous streets and punishing heat to access essential services. Summer temperatures routinely exceed 110 degrees, and nights remain sweltering. For those without reliable shelter, every day is a calculated survival effort, a constant negotiation with nature itself. Urban sprawl, inadequate funding, and slow construction of affordable housing compound the crisis. Even the most well-meaning policies struggle to keep pace with the scale and intensity of need. Social stigma adds another layer of complexity. Many citizens perceive homelessness as a moral failing rather than a systemic problem. Drivers roll up their windows, neighbors avert their gaze, and casual observers see a nuisance rather than a neighbor. Outreach workers describe the emotional toll of this indifference, the persistent sense of invisibility, the feeling of being judged rather than supported. Changing perception is as vital as providing shelter. It is a reminder that homelessness is not a distant, abstract issue. It is a human problem, one that could touch anyone under certain circumstances. Job loss, rising rent, illness, or a single unforeseen event can topple the precarious balance, creating a path into the zone. Phoenix also reflects a broader national pattern. Housing shortages, stagnating wages, underfunded mental health services, and the opioid crisis are not unique to Arizona. Cities from Los Angeles to Miami face similar struggles, revealing systemic weaknesses across the country. Phoenix is a particularly stark example, but it is also a laboratory of potential solutions. The innovations emerging here, tiny homes, housing-first policies, mobile health clinics, apprenticeship programs offer models that other cities could adopt or adapt. Success in Phoenix, even if incremental, can illuminate pathways for addressing homelessness nationwide, proving that strategic, coordinated action can yield tangible results. The city's story is not just about systems and programs, it is about people and choice. Isaiah, a man living near a freeway ramp, offers a folding chair in the thin shade of a mesquite tree and speaks quietly of his dream to become a mechanic. "I just need a start," he says, wiping sweat from his brow. "A place to keep my tools, a shower before an interview, that's all." His words echo the essential truth of the hidden Phoenix. People rarely require miracles. They need opportunity, dignity, and recognition. They need doors cracked open toward a shared future. Small interventions that make it possible to move from survival to stability, from invisibility to presence. As night deepens, the contrast between the city's two faces sharpens. Downtown skyscrapers glow with office lights, reflecting wealth and success, while the zone hums with quiet human endurance. Yet even amidst adversity, light persists, sometimes literally, in the flicker of a tent lamp, sometimes metaphorically, in the perseverance of volunteers, social workers, and residents themselves. Acts of care, a bottle of water, a repaired bicycle, a gently wrapped blistered foot become the currency of dignity in a world where survival is the constant imperative. In these moments, the city's duality blurs, and the distinction between luxury and hardship feels less absolute. Both exist within the same sun-baked landscape, intertwined yet separated by societal structures and fortune. The hidden Phoenix forces an unavoidable question. What kind of city, and by extension, what kind of country, do we want to be? Will we measure success solely by economic growth and sparkling skylines, or will we judge a community by how it cares for its most vulnerable? The answer lies not only in city councils, construction budgets, and policy initiatives, but in the quiet decisions of individuals who choose to see rather than look away, to intervene rather than ignore. Generosity, empathy, and civic responsibility become as critical as laws and funding. They are the threads that can stitch together a city fractured by disparity. Phoenix's story, ultimately, is both a warning and a beacon. It demonstrates the fragility of stability, the rapidity with which lives can unravel, and the profound resilience that emerges in response. It reminds us that homelessness is not an abstract statistic, but a collection of human lives, each capable of change when given the right support. And while darkness exists here, relentless heat, scarcity, and systemic failure, so too does light. The city's volunteers, social workers, and residents are living proof that small acts of care can accumulate into meaningful transformation, that even in extreme circumstances, dignity, hope, and human connection endure. From a rooftop overlooking the valley, the city's two faces, the gleaming skyline and the patchwork of tents, exist side by side, separated by only a few blocks, yet worlds apart. The sun's final rays cast golden rose over both, a reminder that in this city, as in the country, there is both vulnerability and resilience, despair and possibility. Phoenix, in its brilliance and in its shadows, reflects America itself, a land of extremes, of opportunity and inequality, of human triumph and systemic failure. Its future and the measure of its humanity will be determined by how it treats those most in need. In the light of evening, amidst the heat that lingers like a stone, the hidden Phoenix offers a glimpse of what is possible when compassion meets action and when hope, however fragile, is given a chance to endure.